Most people live in a cycle of emotional reactions. Someone says something and you get triggered. You feel disrespected, frustrated, or defensive. And without realizing it, you are reinforcing the very patterns keeping you stuck in the past. But what if you could break free? What if no one could control how you feel ever again? The truth is, no one is making you angry. No one is upsetting you. You are reacting based on your past program. The moment you recognize this, you take back your power. The key is awareness. The next time someone does something that would normally bother you, pause. Don't react. Observe. Feel the emotion rising in your body, but instead of fueling it, just notice it. Because the second you observe it without judgment, you break the pattern. You are not here to be a victim of your environment. You are here to master it. That means shifting your state of being so that external circumstances no longer dictate your internal world. How do you do this? By training your mind and body to exist in an elevated emotional state, peace, gratitude, love. When you practice this every day, you recondition your brain and body to operate at a higher frequency. And suddenly, what used to trigger you no longer has power over you. Understand this: when you raise your energy, you become untouchable. Someone could say the worst thing to you, and instead of reacting, you feel nothing because you're no longer operating on the same level of consciousness as the trigger. This is the work, not controlling the outside world, but mastering your inner world. Because the moment you do, you are free. Your emotional reactions are not random. They are conditioned responses wired into your brain through years of repetition. Every time you get angry, frustrated, or bothered, your brain reinforces a neural pathway, making it easier for you to react the same way in the future. Over time, these reactions become automatic. They become part of your personality. Think about the last time someone upset you. Maybe they said something disrespectful, ignored you, or treated you unfairly. The moment it happened, your body responded, your heart rate increased, your muscles tensed, and a rush of emotion took over. That reaction wasn't just about the present moment, it was a program running in your subconscious mind built from past experiences where you felt the same way. But here's the truth: you don't have to keep repeating the past. The brain is neuroplastic, which means it can be rewired. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take is either reinforcing an old neural pathway or creating a new one. If you want emotional freedom, if you want to never be bothered by anyone again, you must start teaching your brain the new way to respond. The first step is awareness. The moment you feel triggered, stop. Instead of immediately reacting, become conscious of what's happening inside you. Where do you feel the emotion in your body? What thoughts are rushing through your mind? Just by observing the reaction without engaging in it, you begin to weaken the old neural connections that keep you stuck. The second step is to make a new choice. Your brain and body are used to reacting a certain way, but that reaction is just a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. When you feel yourself getting upset, take a deep breath and do something different. Instead of engaging in anger, shift your attention. Instead of playing out the same emotional response, choose a new one. This might feel unnatural at first because your body is addicted to the old way of being, but repetition is the key. The more you practice a new response, the more natural it becomes. Think of it like this: your brain is a vast network of roads. The more you travel a certain road, the deeper and stronger it becomes. If you've spent years reacting to stress, anger, and frustration, those pathways are like highways: fast, automatic, and deeply ingrained. But when you start choosing a new response, you begin carving out a new road. At first, it's small and weak, but with repetition, it becomes stronger, and the old highway begins to break down. Your emotions are not just psychological, they are physiological. When you feel an emotion, your body releases chemicals that reinforce that state. If you constantly feel anger, your body gets addicted to the chemicals of anger. If you constantly feel stressed, your body becomes addicted to stress hormones like cortisol. This is why change feels uncomfortable at first. Your body craves the emotions it's used to, even if they're destructive. But here's where the real transformation happens: when you teach your body to live in a new emotional state, peace, love, gratitude, you recondition your brain and nervous system. Your body no longer needs the chemicals of stress to feel normal. Instead, it starts craving elevated emotions. And when that shift happens, the things that used to bother you no longer have power over you. You might be wondering, how do I make this shift permanent? The answer is practice. Every single day, take time to cultivate the emotions you want to live by. If you want to feel calm, practice feeling calm. If you want to feel powerful, practice feeling powerful. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real experience and an imagined one. If you sit down and intentionally feel gratitude, love, and peace, your brain will start rewiring itself to make those emotions your new normal. Meditation is one of the most powerful tools for this process. When you meditate, you slow down the brain waves that keep you stuck in old patterns, allowing you to create new ones. When you close your eyes, focus on your breath, and shift your emotional state, you're training your brain to live in a new reality. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, as you rewire your brain, your external world begins to change. The same situations that once triggered you no longer affect you. The same people who used to bother you no longer have power over your emotions, not because they changed, but because you did. Your brain is no longer wired for reaction, it's wired for mastery. Every emotion you feel is the result of a deeply ingrained pattern in your brain. Most people think they get angry because of what someone else did, but the truth is, their reaction is not about the present moment. It's a conditioned response from their past. Every time you react in the same way, you are strengthening that neural pathway, making it easier for you to feel the same emotion in the future. Imagine your brain is a vast network of roads. The more you travel a certain path, whether it's anger, frustration, or stress, the more automatic that route becomes. Over time, it turns into a highway, and your brain takes that route without conscious effort. This is why some people seem to get triggered by everything, while others remain calm in any situation. It's not because life is treating them differently, it's because their brains are wired differently. If you want to stop being affected by others, you must rewire your brain to respond in a new way. The first step is awareness. Most people react emotionally without even realizing it. Someone says something negative, and immediately their body tenses, their heart rate increases, and their mind is flooded with defensive thoughts. They don't stop to question why they feel this way. But the moment you become aware of your reaction, you create space between the trigger and your response. That space is where transformation begins. The next step is to interrupt the pattern. Your brain and body are used to reacting in a certain way, but that reaction is just a habit. And like any habit, it can be changed. When you feel yourself starting to react, pause, take a deep breath. Instead of engaging in anger, shift your focus. Observe the sensation without attaching a story to it. Your brain is expecting you to follow the same old script, but when you choose a new response, you weaken the old neural connections and begin forming new ones. This process might feel unnatural at first because your body is addicted to the emotions it's used to. If you've spent years reacting to frustration, then frustration feels familiar, even if it's destructive. Your body craves those stress chemicals because it has been conditioned to rely on them. But the more you choose a different response, the more you teach your body to exist in a new emotional state. Think about what happens when you start working out after years of inactivity. At first, your muscles resist. It feels uncomfortable. Your body wants to return to its old state. But if you push through, eventually your muscles adapt. They grow stronger, and what once felt difficult becomes effortless. The same principle applies to your emotions. If you've spent years reacting with anger or stress, it will feel difficult to change at first, but as you keep practicing, it becomes your new normal. One of the most effective ways to accelerate this process is visualization. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real experience and an imagined one. You close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself responding with peace, calm, and confidence in a situation that would normally trigger you. Your brain starts rewiring itself to make that response automatic. You are training your nervous system to experience a new reality before it even happens. Another powerful tool is meditation. When you meditate, you slow down your brain waves and shift from a reactive state to a state of conscious awareness. In this state, you can observe your thoughts and emotions without being controlled by them. Meditation helps you detach from your old patterns and create new ones. The more you practice this, the less reactive you become in your daily life. This is not about suppressing emotions. Suppression only creates more resistance. This is about transcending emotions by choosing a higher state of being. The more you practice shifting your emotional state, the less control external circumstances have over you. People who used to trigger you lose their power. Situations that once caused stress no longer affect you the same way. And without even trying to control the outside world, you find yourself in control of your inner world. Most people live their lives in reaction mode. They wake up in the morning, check their phones, and immediately allow external stimuli to dictate how they feel. If they see a negative comment, they feel irritated. If someone ignores their message, they feel rejected. If they encounter traffic on the way to work, frustration takes over. Without realizing it, they hand over control of their emotional state to everything outside of them. But true mastery begins when you take back that control. Your emotions are not random, they are patterns that have been wired into your brain over time. Every time you react in the same way, you reinforce a neurological connection, making it easier for you to react that way again in the future. If you get angry every time someone cuts you off in traffic, your brain strengthens that reaction. If you feel annoyed every time someone doesn't meet your expectations, that reaction becomes automatic. And before you know it, you've conditioned yourself to live in a constant state of frustration, stress, or anger. The key to mastering your emotions is recognizing that they are not caused by external events, they are caused by your internal responses. The same event that triggers one person into rage might not bother another person at all. The difference is not in the event itself, but in the meaning each person assigns to it. The moment you understand this, you take back your power. You are no longer at the mercy of what other people say or do. Instead, you become the creator of your own emotional experience. To break free from reactive emotions, you must first become aware of them. Most people go through life on autopilot, experiencing emotions without questioning where they come from. But the next time you feel triggered, pause. Observe what's happening in your body. Where do you feel the tension? What thoughts are running through your mind? Just by becoming aware of the emotional reaction without immediately acting on it, you weaken its grip on you. The second step is to disrupt the pattern. When you feel a negative emotion rising, instead of feeding it, interrupt it. This can be as simple as taking a deep breath, shifting your posture, or redirecting your focus. Your body and mind expect you to react the same way you always have, but when you consciously choose to respond differently, you begin rewiring your brain. Your emotional state is not just a reaction, it's a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. If you've conditioned yourself to feel stress, anger, or frustration on a daily basis, it's because your brain has become accustomed to those emotions. But the same way you learned those states, you can unlearn them. You can train your body and mind to live in a new emotional state, one of calm, peace, and clarity. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by shifting your focus. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you constantly focus on what's wrong, on what people did to you, or on how things should have been different, you will keep experiencing negative emotions. But if you start shifting your focus to what's right, to what you can control, and to what you're grateful for, you change your entire emotional landscape. Another important element of emotional mastery is understanding that emotions are temporary. When you feel angry, it might seem like that anger will last forever, but it won't. Emotions are energy in motion, they come and go. The problem is not the emotion itself, the problem is how you react to it. The moment you stop identifying with your emotions and start observing them, you take away their power over you. The more you practice choosing your emotional state, the easier it becomes. At first, it might feel challenging because your body is addicted to old patterns. But over time, as you consistently train yourself to stay centered, external situations lose their ability to control you. The same people who used to trigger you no longer have the same effect. The same problems that used to stress you out no longer feel overwhelming. And without changing anything outside of you, you realize that you have changed everything within you. The reason people get triggered by others is not because of what is happening in the present moment, but because of what is unresolved within them. If someone makes a comment that upsets you, it's not the words themselves that have power, it's the meaning you assign to them. That meaning is based on past experiences, stored emotions, and deeply ingrained beliefs. The moment you understand this, you realize that no one is actually making you feel anything. You are reacting based on subconscious patterns that have been playing out for years. Triggers are teachers. They reveal the areas within you that still need healing. If someone's disrespect makes you angry, it's not just about that moment. It's about every other time in your life that you felt disrespected and didn't process it fully. If being ignored makes you feel unworthy, it's not just about this one instance. It's about a pattern that has existed in your subconscious for years. Most people go through life unaware of these patterns. They think their emotional reactions are justified because of what others do. But the truth is, if you are reacting, it means there is something within you that still holds an emotional charge. To transcend triggers, you must stop identifying with them. Instead of seeing them as personal attacks, start seeing them as opportunities for growth. The next time you feel yourself getting emotionally activated, don't respond right away. Take a step back. Observe the emotion rising within you without judgment. Instead of saying, they made me feel this way, ask yourself, why does this affect me? What is this revealing about me? The moment you shift from reaction to observation, you begin the process of elevating beyond the trigger. Raising your level of consciousness means that you no longer operate at the same frequency as the things that once bothered you. If you are vibrating at a low emotional state, anger, frustration, resentment, then you will always find reasons to be triggered. Your external reality will reflect your internal state. But when you elevate your energy, those same things lose their grip on you. Someone can insult you, and instead of feeling hurt, you feel nothing. Someone can ignore you, and instead of feeling rejected, you remain at peace. This is not because the situation changed, but because you change. Energy is everything. Every emotion carries a frequency. Anger is low frequency energy, so is fear, insecurity, and resentment. When you hold on to these emotions, you stay stuck in a reality where you will continue to attract situations that match that frequency. But the moment you shift into higher emotional states, love, peace, gratitude, you begin to change your reality. The same things that used to trigger you no longer affect you because you are no longer a vibrational match for them. Your body is conditioned to react the same way it always has, but you can recondition it to respond differently. The next time you feel triggered, instead of engaging with the emotion, shift your focus, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and bring your awareness to your heart. Feel gratitude, feel peace. By doing this, you are training your nervous system to exist in a new emotional state. The more you practice this, the less reactive you become. Over time, the emotions that once controlled you begin to dissolve. The situations that used to upset you become insignificant. You start to experience a deep sense of freedom, not because the world has changed, but because you have elevated beyond the level of consciousness where those things could affect you. Most people live their lives constantly reacting to the outside world. Their emotions fluctuate based on circumstances, on what people say or do, on what happens throughout the day. If things go well, they feel happy. If something unexpected happens, they feel stressed. If someone treats them unfairly, they feel angry. But this is an unconscious way to live because it means that your emotional state is at the mercy of everything around you. True mastery is when nothing outside of you can disturb the peace within you. Inner peace is not something that comes from external conditions, it is something you cultivate from within. It is a state of being, the way of existing, where no matter what happens around you, you remain centered. It doesn't mean you suppress emotions or ignore challenges, it means you rise above them. It means you stop allowing external events to dictate your internal world. When you operate from a state of inner peace, you no longer react, you respond. You no longer live in emotional turbulence. You move through life with clarity and stability. To reach this state, you must first understand that your emotions are a choice. They may feel automatic, but they are not. Every time something happens, you assign a meaning to it, and that meaning determines how you feel. If someone cuts you off in traffic, you can interpret it as an attack and feel anger, or you can see it as insignificant and feel nothing. If someone criticizes you, you can take it personally and feel hurt, or you can remain unaffected because you know their words don't define you. The difference is in perception, and perception is always within your control. One of the biggest obstacles to inner peace is attachment. People attach their happiness to specific outcomes, to the way they believe life should be. They expect others to behave a certain way. They expect circumstances to unfold according to their plans. And when reality doesn't match their expectations, they suffer. But peace is not found in control, it is found in surrender. When you release attachment to how things should be and accept life as it is, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional turmoil. You begin to understand that nothing is truly good or bad. It is only your mind that labels it as such. Living in a state of inner peace requires training your mind to remain calm no matter what happens. This is not something that happens overnight, it is a practice. The more you choose peace over reaction, the stronger it becomes. Every time you are faced with a challenge, you have a choice. You can let it disturb your mind, or you can remain centered. If you practice choosing peace over and over again, it eventually becomes your default state. Your body is also part of this process. Most people's nervous systems are constantly in fight or flight mode because they have conditioned themselves to live in stress and reactivity. But when you train your body to relax, when you breathe deeply and slow down your thoughts, you shift your physiology, you teach your nervous system that it is safe to be calm. Over time, this becomes your natural state. Stress no longer controls you because your body is no longer addicted to it. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate inner peace. When you live in a state of gratitude, you shift your focus from what is wrong to what is right. You begin to see the beauty in everything, even in challenges. Gratitude rewires your brain to look for the positive, and when you consistently focus on the positive, you naturally remain in a state of peace. Meditation is another essential practice. When you meditate, you disconnect from the external world and reconnect with your inner self. You learn to observe your thoughts without attaching to them. You learn to detach from emotions that do not serve you. The more you practice meditation, the more you strengthen the part of you that is unshakable. This is the version of you that exists beyond emotions, beyond triggers, beyond external circumstances. When you connect with this version of yourself, nothing outside of you has the power to disturb your peace. Mastering your emotional state is not about avoiding challenges or suppressing emotions. It is about rising above them. It is about rewiring your brain so that external circumstances no longer dictate your internal world. When you take back control of your emotions, you shift from reaction to response, from chaos to clarity, from frustration to freedom. Through conscious awareness, you begin to break old patterns of reactivity. By rewiring your brain, you train yourself to respond to life with calm and intention, rather than letting emotions control you. When you elevate your consciousness, the same situations that once triggered you lose their power because you are no longer a vibrational match for them. And when you cultivate inner peace, you realize that nothing outside of you determines your happiness. It is something you create from within. The journey to emotional mastery requires practice, patience, and persistence. But the more you train your mind and body to exist in a higher state, the more effortless it becomes. Eventually, what once felt like a struggle becomes second nature. You no longer chase peace, you embody it. You no longer try to control the outside world. You master your inner world. And when you reach this level of mastery, you experience life in a completely different way, not as something happening to you, but as something you are in complete command of.